Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this public hearing convened on February 17th, 2026. Kisiukukit. We acknowledge that the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakis, the unceded territory of Yakutat Nucleate First Nation. We recognize that we live and work within their vast lands. Akanahunik are from Yakutat Nucleate and are members of the Tanaha-speaking peoples of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. And just briefly, before I call the hearing to order, I wanted to let people know or remind people that we have a book of condolences at the library for the community of Tumbler Ridge. And so it'll be there for a few more days if you can get over there and provide them with your best wishes and support as you can. And we've graciously had a family who formerly lived in Tumbler Ridge is going to hand deliver it to Tumbler Ridge Council for us. So we're very grateful to them. So with that, I'll call the hearing to order at 6:31 p.m. And this is the hearing for bylaw 2535 and bylaw 2536. And you'll bear with me. The following public hearing is convened pursuant to the Local Government Act to allow the public to make representation to council respecting matters following proposed bylaws. Official Community Plan Bylaw number 2231, Amendment Bylaw number 2535, 2025, Bylaw 2535, and Zoning number 1750, Amendment Bylaw number 2536, 2025, or bylaw 2536. The purpose of bylaw 2035 is to amend the official community plan specifically to the text of section 9B9 of the bylaw to include Fernie Fire Hall as a key institutional use. Schedule B, land use designations of the bylaw to change the land use designation of a portion of Lot 1, District Lot 4588, Kootenay District Plan 8097, except part in Plan NEP 21661, Prentice Park, from parks to institutional. Schedule D, parks, trails, facilities, and open space network of the bylaw to remove the area shown as park on a portion of Prentice Park. And Schedule D, parks, trails, facilities, and open space network by inserting a facility labeled Fernie Fire Hall. The purpose of bylaw 2536 is to amend the zoning bylaw specifically to amend the text of the bylaw to include emergency services as a permitted use in the public institutional zone, and amend Schedule A zoning map of the bylaw to rezone a portion of Lot 1, District Lot 4588, Kootenay Plan 8097, except part in Plan NEP 21661 from P2 Parks and Open Space to P1 Public Institutional. At this hearing, any person present who believes that their interests in property are affected by matters contained in these bylaws shall be given an opportunity to be heard. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views known. However, it is important that all who speak at this meeting restrict their remarks to matters contained in the bylaws. At any point in the hearing, if the hearing becomes disruptive or disorderly, or speakers are interrupted or heckled during their presentations, as the presiding member, I will pause the hearing and address the behavior. Those of you who wish to speak should, at the appropriate time, commence your address to council by clearly stating your full name and community of residence. Whether you oppose or approve the proposed amendments in the bylaws, and share any views with council pertaining to the matters contained in the bylaws. Speakers have 3 minutes to speak, and our corporate officer will advise when your time is up by indicating on the countdown clock located in front of me. It's a bit hard to miss. If a speaker has additional information that they are unable to provide within the 3-minute time frame, they may be given a further opportunity to address council after all other interested members of the public have been heard a first time. This will be at the presiding member's discretion. In such case, speakers shall confine their comments to new information only. It is council's primary duty to hear what all interested persons have to say about the bylaws. They should hear and, if necessary, ask questions to seek clarification of a speaker's point. It is not the function of council at these hearings to debate the merits of the proposed bylaw. That takes place after the hearing has closed and during consideration of third reading of the bylaws, which is currently scheduled for February 24th, 2026. Should council resolve to adjourn the public hearing instead of closing it, the presiding member must, prior to adjournment, announce the date, time, place, and method of reconvening in accordance with section 465 sub 7 of the Local Government Act. After the hearing is closed, council is not permitted to receive further submissions, correspondence, or any new information on the proposed bylaw amendments. However, if council receives any additional information after this hearing, it will not be opened and will be instead be forwarded directly to the corporate officer. Thank you. We move on to item B, summary of notice of public hearing from the corporate officer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Staff can confirm that public notice requirements for the official community plan bylaw number 2231, amendment bylaw number 2535/2025, and zoning bylaw number 1750, amendment bylaw number 2536/2025, collectively known as the proposed bylaw amendments, have been met in accordance with section 466 of the Local Government Act. Public notice for public hearing regarding the proposed bylaws were advertised in the two editions of the Fernie Free Press on February 5th, 2026 and February 12th, 2026. Public notice was also posted at the city's public notice posting places located outside the library across from the post office and on the City Hall bulletin board inside City Hall. Notice was also placed on the city's website on January 29, 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we move on to a presentation by our Manager of Planning, Mr. Simolini, the official community plan and zoning bylaw amendments for Fernie Fire Hall project at the Prentice Park site. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just going to get a little bit of technical support here. The computer's off without a password in it. Just a brief presentation tonight, Your Worship. Just going over a couple of the things similar to what was already brought up with the timing and the notice. It doesn't look like the Zoom window is on this computer, so if you're okay with me going without slides, I can just brief council on and the room, if that's okay. Okay.
Would you mind? Nice for folks present to see what you're presenting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. There we go, Your Worship. So a brief presentation tonight where I will summarize each bylaw. And there we go. And run through a timeline of the bylaw amendment process and also summarize the public input received leading up to the public hearing, a high-level summary. So as included in your agenda packages and previously discussed, our current OCP, which was adopted in 2014, is largely silent on fire and emergency services. But regardless of the location of the new fire hall, an OCP amendment would be required, both specific to the location and through the policies for Fernie as a whole. Bylaw 2535, as you noted earlier, does propose to amend the official community plan bylaw 2231. Specifically adding Fernie Fire Hall to recognize it as a key institutional use. By amending the future land use map to change the land use of a portion of Prentice Park that is needed for the construction of Fire Hall from parks to institutional. And by amending the parks facilities and open space network map to remove the portion of Prentice Park that is needed for the construction of the Fire Hall from park, and then to symbolize that same location as a new facility being the Fire Hall. So like the OCP, Fire and Emergency Services is not explicitly referred to in the city's zoning bylaw. It was adopted in the mid-90s. Bylaw 2536 proposes to amend the zoning bylaw specifically to include emergency services as a permitted use in the public institutional zone, and to amend the zoning map to change a portion of the Prentice Park property from P2, Parks and Open Space, to P1, institutional. So just to help set the stage for the public hearing again tonight, I just wanted to go over a timeline of the bylaw amendment process. On November 12th, 2025, Council established early and ongoing consultation, that was required as part of the OCP process. At that point, certain comments were taken in to staff, and we reported back to Council on December 9th. So at that time, early and ongoing consultation was considered, and first and second reading of the bylaws were given. Then the notice of public hearing went out, as our corporate officer summarized. Public posting places and the hand and mail delivery were done on January 29th, 2026. And the free press, the ad went in the free press on February 5th and February 12th. Also wanted to note that on January 27th, a notice with a clerical error was hand delivered, and it was rectified by the January 29th delivery with a correction. Very briefly, that brings us to tonight, where we have the public hearing. After the public hearing, the bylaws proposed to come back on February 24th, which is a week tonight, for potential third readings of the bylaws. Ministry of Transportation and Transit, it's required that they sign off on any zoning or OCP bylaws within 800 meters of a controlled access highway. Typically, we refer those bylaws to the Ministry of Transportation after third reading and before adoption. In this case, we have been in contact with them, and they have approved the bylaws, so they're ready to go. So that step does not have to happen after third reading. That would allow us to bring the bylaw back on March 3rd, tentatively for adoption. Summary of the consultation, again, very brief. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail because there are people that want to speak tonight, and that will be part of the record as well. In total, 398 pieces of consultation were received, and 303 of those were published to the public hearing agenda last week. 95 were received after the agenda was published. The themes contained in the comments received were generally consistent with what was presented to Council on December 9th. A summary of those themes, both for and against the proposed bylaws, will be presented with the third reading report to ensure both letters received prior to the public hearing and the comments made at tonight's public hearing are considered. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Similini. Any questions from Council? Seeing none, I turn to you for a summary of correspondence.
Mayor and Council, persons who considered that they are affected by the proposed bylaw amendments were provided the opportunity to make written representations to Council up until today, February 17, 2026, at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. To date, the following written representations were received: 296 written representations opposing the proposed bylaw amendments, and 101 written representations in support of the proposed bylaw amendments. 2 written representations were unclear. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I will make my first call for submissions from the floor. And we do have a speakers list, so I will turn to a corporate officer.
First up, we have Patricia Burnett.
Please. Good evening. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you for giving me time to talk. I'm Patricia Burnett. I'm a physician in the community, and I want to make it clear that my comments are mine alone, and I'm not representing any of my colleagues, and I'm not an influencer. I'm not here to try to lead the crowd. I come to you tonight as a friend and a neighbor. And maybe I missed a meeting and maybe my concerns have been addressed, but I would like to see my concerns in writing. And the main subject that I'm concerned about is we know that the helipad at the hospital is going to have temporary closures during construction if the fire hall and the Prentice Park location goes forward. And do we have a plan for how our unstable patients going to be transferred to an alternate helipad? And is everybody aware that that's going on? Everybody involved, STARS and Interior Health. And then my other concern is the building's awful close to the helipad. The proposed building's awful close to the helipad. And are we sure that the new building isn't in the flight path, especially in helicopters that are large? And because the helicopters are getting larger and heavier. Maybe that'll change, but once a building's there, is that going to compromise the helipad at the Elk Valley Hospital? As I see, we have a lot of emergency workers here, and as you know, it's not easy to load and unload an ambulance, and sometimes there's not an ambulance available. So I'm hoping that our helipad is not compromised. And I have a soft spot in my heart for the firefighters and the rescue workers. And I understand the urgency of this project. Part of it is recognizing your mental well-being over this issue. And I'm not going to speak about your mental well-being. I'll let you explain what's going on and how this is affecting you on yourself. But we're eternally grateful for your commitment to a hazardous job. And I also understand that City Council inherited a lot of complicated, expensive projects, and that you're trying to do your best. And I hope that you'll take the public comments seriously when deciding about the zoning, and please make sure that the zoning change double checks that STARS has approved the flight path to the helipad so we don't lose it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Burnett. That's new.
Next, we have John Garlick.
Thank you very much. Dear Council, I'm a lifelong Fernie resident.
I'm going to speak on behalf of John Garlick. My name is Lara Garlick. I'm a resident of Fernie. Dear Mayor and Councillors, I'm a lifelong Fernie resident, born here. As were my mother, my children, and now my grandchildren. My grandfather arrived in 1902 and lived through the devastating fires of the early 1900s. Our family has been a part of Fernie's history of resilience for over 120 years. I was only 5 in 1964 when a significant peace pipe ceremony took place at Prentice Park. With my family, I watched Chief Ambrose Grail and Mayor James White share the pipe before the whole town. Too young to fully understand then, I now recognize it was a profound movement of healing, reconciliation, and unity after years of hardship. Prentice Park is a place where we've gathered for tragedy, after fires, floods, mining disasters, to mourn and support one another and enjoy circuses. Enjoy circuses, Canada Day celebrations, baseballs on Sorella Fields, picnics, and festivals. Donated in 1972 to remain public forever, its central location near schools, the hospitals, and businesses makes it essential. We need better emergency services, but developing on Prentice Park is short-sighted and irreversible. The land holds history, emotion, meaning no other spot could ever replace it. The Prentice Park Society efforts honor the trust tied to this place. Please do the same. With today's public hearing, I urge you to find another location for the fire hall to protect Prentice Park for future generations. It's more than land. There is history. Value cannot be replaced.
Thank you, Ms. and Mr. Garlick.
Next, we have Kelly Babowski.
Good evening. I speak in opposition to the proposed bylaw and OCP changes. I represent ordinary people in Fernie. I'm not a member of the Prentice Park Society. I'm just someone who's been involved in or overheard many conversations around town about the proposed new fire hall. The feedback you got about these proposed bylaw changes to the deadline last week showed 94% opposed, which seems fairly representative of what I heard from the population at large in our community. From the grocery store to the curling club, from the line to pick up kids from school to the yoga studio. Even at Ponies and Planks this weekend, some people in the food truck line behind me said, "Oh, there's the mayor selling Grizz pins." And then the discussion went, oh, the fire hall thing and having to go to court to try to save the park. And it's on hold now until the court decision. And that's when I turned around saying that the city wanted to rezone the park on Tuesday, tonight. People were surprised. They thought that the city had agreed to wait for the judge's decision before proceeding further. That's what I'd thought too. Council and city staff seem to have missed the community pulse on this issue. Not once have I heard anyone say we don't need a new fire hall. I don't not respect your work and everything that you do. But people do not want you to take away a park for a fire hall. People, citizens, residents of this lovely city, the taxpayers, the people who pay for the operation of this city, you work for those people. You represent those people. You should be listening to those people. Personally, I do not understand how a park, a donated park on land that was donated to the city on the condition that it would be used for park forever. I don't understand how that park was ever placed on the list of potential sites for a new fire hall. I've followed the news. I know the city has received feedback and a petition against taking away any of the park for a new fire hall. You've heard from families of people in on the original donation of that land for a park. You've heard from lifelong city residents. You've heard from a group of people who felt so strongly about saving this park that they formed a society and took the city to court. And now you're hearing from me, Joe Public. I am disappointed and shocked that the city has disregarded public input and continued to put money and effort into a new fire hall at this site at the expense of a park, despite public opinion. It is not too late to change to a better location. Yes, some money has been spent, but much of the design cost can be applied to or at a better site. Further, I believe that the city agreed to wait for the judge's decision before proceeding, to try right now to rezone from park to institutional, a change that will stay in place whether the city receives that $7 million grant or not, whether the fire hall goes ahead at this site or not.
Thank you,
Is wrong.
Ms. Babowski.
Next, we have Randall McNair.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, staff, and other concerned citizens. My name is Randall McNair. My address is 11018th Avenue. And I'm here to support the rezoning of a portion of 1500 Fifth Avenue and the associated changes to Fernie's OCP. Since Prentice Park was acquired by the City of Fernie in 1972, the city has acquired and developed two more complexes of playing fields, James White Park and the Max Turk Community Center, as well as the site of the Aquatic Center. Further, there is at least one additional excellent opportunity for community playing fields in park, that being the now closed Coal Creek Road landfill. These recreational and green space facilities provide opportunities for recreation that exceed our population now and into the future. The same, however, cannot be said of city-owned opportunities to locate a fire hall. A modern, strategically located fire hall that looks to the present and future needs is essential to any community. Fernie, unfortunately, has been without such for decades. The siting of a fire hall is a strategic decision that will serve the community for decades to come, and a great deal of consideration has resulted in the choice for this location. I will not go into detail to the benefits of this site at 1500 Fifth Avenue, but they include co-location with health, safety, and emergency services, opportunities for future growth, access, and more. The rezoning of a portion of 1500 Fifth Avenue is the right decision and will serve the people of Fernie for generations to come. I thank you for your service and trust in your vision to ensure the safety of our community, our elders, and our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNair.
Next, we have Val Desir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Val Desir, Fernie resident since 1981. You did an excellent speech. You said almost everything I wanted to say, but what I would like to comment on is the legality of it until that judge makes his decision, and then whatever that decision is, and then the Attorney General has a chance to address that issue. Legal language is legal language, and that covenant protected Prentice Park. So until that changes, I don't think you have any right to take it away from the people, the residents of Fernie. Now I have another suggestion. Build your fire hall, which could have been done 2 years ago. And these young people could have been in there working. Build it at 2nd Avenue and put in some satellite fire stations. Can be a regular house up at Parkland Terrace, Cicado, so that there is more coverage for Fernie. But reduce your footprint, put it where that land was already bought and paid for by we the people. We paid for that already. So until this legal decision is made, I don't think you have any justification or right to change any wording in a bylaw to encompass putting that fire hall at Prentice Park. Think outside the box. Put in as fire halls, satellite fire halls at Cicado. And putting a recreation up on the old garbage dump is ridiculous. There's only a membrane there. Any seepage, any toxic elements coming out of that land, you then would be responsible for. And everybody's children, I don't have my grandchildren living here, but anybody that does, who wants their grandchild playing up there? I mean, sometimes you got to change your mind when you see that things are not going your way. And this, not getting the referendum done, Harsh, this is not going your way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Desir.
Next, we have March Ungaro.
Hi, March Angaro, 701 11th Avenue. Resident since I was 14 years old, came from Michelle Natal. Here we are again. This must be my third, fourth time speaking. And I want my voice heard. We have to keep doing and doing. I heard some great comments tonight. I appreciate all you guys, everyone here, our young firefighters. This has nothing to do with what we appreciate what you do for us, and we're glad that you took this career. The public hearing tonight is the final step, in my opinion, in moving forward with the fire hall plan to be put on Prentice Park, which should have been the first step. Prior to considering the area, getting it added to the community working group was not right. There was a covenant, a reverter on that property. And it was documented in Arcadius report. There should be no encumbrances. Now, at first you didn't get our attention, but we soon caught on. So also the court situation. Like we've done a lot of work for this. It is very important to a large majority of the Fernie citizens. Now, I respect the citizens of Fernie as their patience has been unwavering in this, and we appreciate that. We get more respect from the citizens of Fernie that are not blaming us for wanting to save Prentice Park. You are working, okay, Fernie's expanding, think about it. You have Isabella Dickin has been there. Do you think that place shouldn't be replaced? How many years? We keep adding and adding trailers. Then, thank goodness we got the secondary school because of progress we had to remove for houses, took down CL Salvador School. Now, has anyone asked our children if it matters? Maybe we should start listening to our children. Leave it.
Thank you, Ms. Ungaro.
Next, Your Worship, is Kim Lancaster.
Hi, Council. My name is Kim Lancaster. I'm at 22 Bridgemont Avenue. I was born and raised here. I am 67 years old. You're taking away a valued spot. I have no issues with you firefighters. You need a spot. But at Prentice Park, no. Anybody on this council right now, including you firefighters, what happens if your family members need an airlift and it is impacted by the new fire hall? What happens to whatever had, thank God we never had to have that happen here. But at Templar Ridge, what happens if we need to have airlifts come in and we can't get them in because of the fire hall? And whose bright idea was it to put a daycare in a fire hall? Whose kids are going to be freaking out every time those sirens go off? Us taxpayers paid for that part, the 902. We paid for that. Why are we being saddled with another issue, multi-million-dollar one? We're not even destined to get that $7 million. It's not $7 million. We will get, even if we get a portion of it, will be 100,000 if we're darn lucky. It's not going to cover the cost of that $22 million fire hall, and we all know it. So you guys can sit on council and city staff and feed us all a bunch of malarkey. We're not dumb. We pay high taxes for what? You've taken away parks, schools, you name it. The arena, the outdoor arena, the community center. We need a new elementary school. We got one coming, but we need another one. Where do you people stand with our tax dollars that we pay you to do, to run this city for us? Not to be sitting there going, oh, I need a big pat in the back for my big, huge reward when I leave this town. If you leave this town. And if your family members need a helicopter, are you going to say, oh, well, we needed a fire hall. Oh, well, the kids are freaking out at the parking lots at the new fire hall. Do we need all this stuff? They need a fire hall. We pay for 902, put it there. That's where it was designed. It was sold to us for a darn good price for that one reason. It's time that this city and the council start looking at us taxpayers as your bosses. It's our tax dollars that pay you guys to sit up there and over here. That you don't even respect or qualify for trying to backdoor us through this new bylaw. You guys are doing a sneaky, underhanded job to us residents and us taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lancaster.
Next is Elena Anselmo.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Elena Anselmo, and I live at 20 Mount Trinity here in Fernie. I was born and raised. Fernie does need a new fire hall. We all want firefighters working from a safe facility. I respect everything that you guys do. I'm struggling to understand how this process is moving forward while the feedback you specifically requested from residents is being set aside. This matter is in a court. Why is it even happening at this moment? When the majority of residents express opposition, continuing unchanged sends the message that their voices do not truly count. Community engagement should mean more than consultation. It should mean listening, weighing what you hear, and being willing to adjust. Residents were asked for their views, and the response was overwhelmingly against building the fire hall on the site. Yet the process continues as though the feedback carries little weight, which is deeply discouraging to people who participated in good faith. What's being proposed is the removal of a well-used recreational space based on a promise that something comparable may be replaced in the future. A future replacement does not make up for losing an existing community asset that families rely on now. We have also heard that 902 2nd Ave is a prime space, yet has sat unused for years. If it's truly prime, why is the easier path to displace recreation rather than activate land that has been vacant? This isn't an abstract issue. Baseball, softball, slow pitch is more than a game. It gets kids and families outside, builds social connection, and strengthens our community. We have a growing youth baseball program, and eliminating a field does not meet current needs. Even a signed baseball donation from the Toronto Blue Jays to the Prentice Park Society shows this conversation reaches beyond Fernie. James White is often cited as an alternative, but the fields are prone to flooding. It's just a waste of money. Those limitations restrict consistent, safe use. To suggest putting a ball field on an old dump ground that produces methane gas is mind-boggling to me. I'm also concerned that decisions on this have repeatedly come down to narrow 4-3 votes. At what point do we pause and ask whether we've done enough to bring the majority of residents with us? Transparency matters too. The community deserves to hear the actual numbers for and against and a clear explanation on how those results are being weighed in decision-making. Posting those details buried in hundreds of pages of agenda packages is not convenient for citizens. They should be mentioned in the oral presentations to council. It builds trust and shows residents their participation was in good faith. My request tonight is simple. Please take a step back, re-examine the process, reevaluate the alternatives, and do not remove an existing functioning recreational facility unless and until a real funded comparable replacement is secured. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anselmo.
Thank you. Next is Anthony Anselmo.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Anthony Anselmo. I live at 20 Mount Trinity Ave in Fernie, and I'm here about the proposed OCP and zoning amendments that would allow the new fire hall to be built on Prentice Park. Let me state this very clearly. Fernie needs a new fire hall. Our firefighters deserve a safe, modern facility, and our community deserves reliable emergency response. But tonight isn't fire hall or no fire hall. It's where and whether this hearing can still influence that decision. This is a statutory public hearing. The Supreme Court of Canada has said that when council holds a public hearing, councillors may have views, but must remain open to persuasion by what they hear and what was written in submissions. So I'm asking, please show the public this is a real decision point, not a box ticking exercise. Many residents feel the outcome is already locked in because of money spent, timelessness, or commitments made. If the decision is already made, then tonight isn't engagement, it's theater. The city's own consultation numbers show broad participation and strong opposition. City's November 25 consultation summary, 68% opposed to this location. February 12th submissions to date for this hearing, 94% opposed. This is not a fringe view. And please don't discount submissions because they were coordinated through the Prentice Park Society. They are still residents' voices. Prentice Park also has history and an intention. A submission from 93-year-old Brian Pinnell, secretary at the time of the land transfer, states the land was granted for public park and recreation purposes in memory of Bill Prentice. The Prentice family has opposed changing that purpose. Whether Prentice Park is subject to a charitable trust restricting its use is currently before the Supreme Court. Not asking you to debate the lawsuit tonight, asking you to pause these bylaw changes until the court rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anselmo.
Okay. Next, we have Josh Gowlick.
Hey, everybody. Josh Gowerlick, resident of Fernie. Good evening, Mayor Milligan, members of council, and fellow residents. I want to say that I'm against this. I want to start off by saying thank you to the Grizz, though, the snow, and I suggest that tonight we use this as an opportunity to vote and approve the 20-centimeter rule is in effect for tomorrow. I'm just kidding. As a private citizen of Fernie, I'm also part of the Prentice Park, but I want to say this as a private citizen. I stand here to strongly oppose the proposed amendment to the OCP that would redesignate a portion of the park. We all want safe, modern fire hall. I know most of you guys. I grew up with a bunch of you guys. You guys are lifesavers. You guys, you do need something, and I'm so sorry that you're stuck in the middle of this. It's not okay, but the park's not okay either. This location matters deeply. The land has been considered a park since 1918 and was gifted to the city in 72, explicitly for public park and recreation purposes in perpetuity, with the right of reverter that enforced that. While the reverter was discharged, evidence was presented in the Supreme Court, including communications from Shell Canada obtained via FOIP. It discussed openly in proceedings in the court, and it shows that Shell expected a referendum and consultation with the citizens. The representatives previously assured, and the residents did expect a referendum on the borrowing, yet you guys used procedural loopholes to avoid one when borrowing was reframed. The Attorney General submitted strong arguments that creates charitable trust obligation to keep this land as green space. The decision is currently in the hands of the justice, and council should pause anything until you get those rulings to avoid wasting taxpayer money on planning and potential, possibly likely reversal of this decision. The city has already conducted rounds of collecting public opinions. In all cases, there has been historically large volumes of submissions. Like these 400 people, this is massive to the city. Like previously, like 80 is a real number. We're seeing like 400 or 500. And all like massively, everybody's saying no to this thing. Nobody wants this thing, guys. Nobody wants it there. Citizens hand delivered a petition with 1,700 voting age Fernie signatures demanding protection, yet the city dismissed it on a technicality that it lacked civic addresses. That is not listening. That is finding loopholes to silence us. Alternatives like 902, purchased years ago with a fire hall in mind, were viable and scored very competitively before this co-use argument came up. If it's just a fire hall, 902 is the best. Shifting now is just going to delay proceeding risks and legal financial setbacks. This isn't about a baseball diamond. It's about an irreversible decision. When crises hit, decisions often turn to technocratic governance styles, where reports and experts begin to dictate our outcomes, handcuffing council and removing opportunities for citizens to have a meaningful discussion or input. This, what you guys are doing here, is exactly the situation of taking one of the small things we can actually have a conversation with you about away from us. We all get the town is crumbling. You guys have to approach it with handcuffs. We know that. But listen to us. You're on the wrong train.
Thank you, Mr. Garlick.
Lara Gowlick. Oh, hang on.
Good evening, council members and fellow Fernie citizens. My name is Lara Gowlick. It was a last minute decision to come up here and speak to you all, mostly because connections to Fernie is through marriage, and I've lived here for 3 years, but my son is 5th generation Fernie. My traditional lands is in northern Alberta. I'm a descendant of the Beaver Indians, and I am here to see if the council has consulted with the nations of the Ktunaxa nations in this regards. It seems that I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody else, but it's just purely out of curiosity. I hear the people's voices and I see the development. And when I hear the words institutional land being transformed, like taking recreational land and turning it into institutional land, I have to honor the curiosity. And with that, I hope that you guys are curious along with me and, you know, opposed to just saying the land, acknowledging that we are on the land, perhaps using this as an opportunity for stewardship and to really embrace, you know, the calls to action, especially call number 92. You guys are also municipalities. You guys have to, you know, be curious as well into regulations in that regard. So that is what I hope. You guys are feeling the lays of the land as well. They've been the lands of this for over 10,000 years. So here we are.
Thank you, Ms. Garlick.
Next, we have Yuri Yaman. Did I say that right? Okay.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Yuri Jamin. Thank you for this opportunity to share thoughts on the proposed bylaw amendments. I support the proposed amendments. Fernie needs a new fire hall, a permanent fire hall. It's needed this for some time. Somebody said a decade, more than a decade. I certainly appreciate the work by city staff evaluating the options available to the city, the technical review of those options, weighing the pros and cons, and then the communication of that information to residents. I remember receiving information last fall. It's not an easy decision. There's always trade-offs. Trading off a sports field, yeah, nobody feels good about it, but Fernie needs a permanent fire hall. I'm concerned by not approving the amendments. This delays the fire hall construction. It puts the grant at risk. I understand that to be a $7 million grant. I certainly, as a resident, I'm not looking to pay my portion of that lost $7 million. And yeah, kicking this down the road. Are we sure we want to be doing that as a city? We've delayed long enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jamin.
How do I say that? Okay, I think it's Claudia Dressler. Claudia Dressler.
Do I have to tap? No, it works. Hi, I'm Clodagh. I was born and raised in Fernie, and I support the location of this new fire hall. I think based off of all of the different locations, this is definitely the strongest. I also think, we're talking about gaining youth opinions. I'm a youth. I grew up in Fernie, and I would also like to add that while I do think that the baseball fields are important, I also think, as I would rather not have my house burned down. So I'm weighing those two things. I think we really need to just get this ball rolling and really support this location because it is the best option. There is no better option at this time in Fernie. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dressler.
Last on the list, Your Worship, is Scott Dressler. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Is there anyone online who's indicated they'd like to speak? No.
No.
Okay. Thank you. With that, I will call a second time for submissions from the floor. Yeah, you can speak, Mr. Anselmo, if it's new information.
I was just thinking about, this public hearing and why we're here and how it may be different than a regular public participation period at a council meeting. At those meetings, the ones that I've seen and attended, folks get up, they say something, council listens. There's really not an opportunity to ask questions, to have a little bit of a back and forth. At a public hearing, I feel like it's different. And especially after today, we're not allowed to talk about this anymore. You can't make any more submissions. You can't approach council and talk about it. I just don't want to miss the opportunity for those in attendance, for those online. And I'm not asking for a debate tonight by any means at all. But if there are questions here from council, from staff, from members in the audience that maybe want to ask some questions, can we do that?
Well, it is procedurally not, we're here to hear from the public, Mr. Anselmo. We're not here to debate. If you had said something I wanted clarification on, I could ask for clarification, but the rules are very clear in the Local Government Act.
Okay, does it allow council to maybe ask questions to the speakers?
We're always free to ask questions if we had points of clarification.
Does any council here tonight have any clarification or questions for myself or anyone else that's here? Just to be clear as well, no secret, Prentice Park Society is in court with the city of Fernie. Our legal counsel has advised us to continuing having conversations. They haven't told us not to have conversations. I'm not sure what legal counsel has guided you guys, but if we could possibly park that and have a real honest open house public hearing. Again, if you guys have any comments or questions. Here to happy to answer anything on your mind. Because after this, it's locked down, I guess.
Well, there is another opportunity when the bylaw comes back to council. It'll be on the agenda and you can speak to it again at that point during public participation period. Sorry, you can't? No, okay. Yeah, once to close the public hearing. Sorry. Yeah, I don't want to mislead anybody. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, this is our opportunity.
I got 40 more seconds. Come on, someone give me something. Anyone from the, yeah, sure.
$40,000 that they say they paid for the land. Do we have proof that they paid for it? Was it for something else? And does it matter?
I'm sorry, Mr. Anselmo, this is completely out of order. We're here to hear from you. If you have more to present, new information, happy to hear that, but I'm not going to condone you entertaining questions from the floor.
Any from council? Does any council have any questions for myself? After we're not allowed to talk anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Anselmo.
I don't clarify on the question. Is that
Just
Hello, can you guys hear me?
we can.
Hi, my name is Joshua Slykehouse, 30 Slalom Drive. I've been a Fernie resident for 8 years. Just want to thank everybody for their comments for and against. I know this is a super divisive issue. And yeah, in a town of, 7,000 of us, an issue that's this divisive just seems so unnecessary. We seem like we're in such a polarized time right now and people are so angry. There's a chance to de-escalate this. Yes, we've spent money, but can we get the park space back? Can we get the community together again? I know it's always every vote in council is 4-3. Everybody kind of knows that. So I guess, Kyle, I'd like to appeal to you. I know you want to be the next mayor. You have a chance right now to show the community, hundreds of people, that you're not ideological, that you can look at the pulse of the town. And yes, we need a fire hall, but you can make a decision today to say, you know what, the town really doesn't want this. I came into this not caring either way, and then I started talking to people in town, and I talked to a lot of people in town just by nature of what I do, and this is definitely like a 70-30 issue. Most of the town seems against it. It makes sense to me why they would be. They seem to have a good argument, but at the end of the day, it's going to unnecessarily divide the town. And we don't need to do that. We can take a breath now. This is kind of the last chance though. If we go forward with this, we could have a divided town for the foreseeable future. And I don't want that. I don't want to live in a town like that. Fernie's great. I love living here because for the most part, we all do get along. We understand there's 7,000 of us in the middle of the mountains. So Kyle, please, I'm asking you now, look around, look at the submissions, feel the pulse of the town, go talk to people, please. It's always 4-3. Maybe we could make it 3-4 just once. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Slykehouse.
Debbie Poupart, 1462 2nd Avenue or 195 15th Street. One comment I have, how unfair it is for you people here, all of you, to put us in that back room with an unstable internet connection. We've missed a lot of the meeting. How unfair.
That is unfortunate. Do you want to speak a second time, Mr. Garlick?
Yeah, so we're allowed to talk on new evidence.
Just new information.
So it's new to me that I just heard and listening to other people talk. Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So for example, there's $40,000 that the city paid for. Is there proof that that money was for that, or was it for taxes? Did it actually transfer bank accounts? There was a lot of discussion around town that's up for question. I'm just wondering. The other thing too is the idea of the baseball being put on the old dump site down there. I've spoken to the RDEK. That place for the next decade is going to be monitored for gas, and it's not even on the table. The other place you guys are saying you're going to build a baseball diamond, that's for kids. That's just a little one. Anybody who knows about baseball knows that's for kids. Even just the mounds, I learned the other day that if it's the mounds go up, there's different insurances, and you realize that insurance down there isn't valid on those baseball diamonds. And if you are going to make them bigger, you're going to go in there and tell everybody that you're about to take out acres of green grizzly bear habitat on the side of the river in one of the most important riparian zones in the world because there's nowhere else to put a fire hall. Come on, guys. This is our last chance to talk to you guys about it. And you guys all know, I know you guys are all smart people, every one of you. And you guys know that you got too far down here. You guys are pot committed and you're down this rabbit hole now, but you guys should consider the town does not want this, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mr. Garlick. I will call for a third and final time for submissions from the floor. And I'll ask if anyone has indicated online whether they. No. No, thank you. Oh. Approach the podium.
I'm just going to say something about how it looks.
If you can identify yourself.
My name is Edward Ted Rafe, 19 Mount Proctor Avenue. I've lived in Fernie since November 2000. I came here after looking at all the resort towns in Alberta and BC and chose Fernie, and I'm glad I did. And I'm still glad. I agree that this is potentially the kind of division that we see south of the border and elsewhere that is not pleasant. And we didn't come here for that kind of stuff. I'm practiced law for 35 years before I came here. I'm totally recovered though now. I've taken the 12-step program. And so I'm able to be objective. My concern is, as a lawyer that's well versed in municipal law, how things look. Perception is often just as important as actual in things legal. The matter will become moot if the court decision finds that the condition attached to this land when it was originally turned over in 72 or 3 is a charitable trust. So in my view, this particular meeting from a procedural point of view should not have happened until after that decision. Because if that decision does come down that it's a charitable trust, it's in legal terms, all this business becomes moot and pointless and costly for no reason. I have my own suspicions about why the present spot is down by the hospital is being chosen as opposed to 102, but then I might be considered a conspiracy monger and I'm not. So please do that. The other thing that you could do that would look much better procedurally is you could adjourn this public hearing till after that court decision, because it might affect both the opponents and the proponents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Is there anyone else in either room who would like to speak to this issue? No. With that, we will close the public hearing at 7:35 p.m. and we will take a 10-minute recess before we go into committee of the whole. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening, and thank you for your passion. Okay, folks, we're going to reconvene. So yes. Okay, folks. Robin? Thank you. Welcome back to this Committee of the Whole meeting held on February 17th at 2026. Kisukukit, we acknowledge that the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakis, the unceded territory of Yakutat Nucleate First Nation. We recognize that we live and work within their vast lands. Thank you, bylaw, for coming this evening. Thank you. Sorry, I'll start that again. We acknowledge the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakis, the unceded territory of Yakutat Nucleate First Nation. We recognize that we live and work within their vast lands. Akanahunik are from Yakutat Nucleate and are members of the Ktunaxa-speaking peoples of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. And so I will call the meeting to order at 7:47 p.m. And having had conversation with council and the weighty issue we have just dealt with, and I have alerted our primary presenter this evening, I'm going to propose the following motion: that the item on the agenda of the February 17th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting be deferred to a future meeting, and that the February 17th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting be adjourned. Can I ask for a mover? Moved by Councillor Audie Kelly, seconded by Councillor Sue Smith. Is there any discussion? Councillor Ramdas.
Thanks, Your Worship. I really appreciate all the hard work, staff. It's just that we need more time to digest the information, ask some good questions. It'll take more than an hour is how we thought about it. So please bear with us.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I think, not a bad idea to decompress after an emotionally charged meeting like that one. So I am very grateful to everybody who attended and for all their passion. So that is a very important acknowledgement I'd like to give. So with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, we will adjourn the meeting at